Tottenham Hotspurs finished in 7th place in the Premier League last year, getting themselves into a European competition, just neither of the European competitions they would have liked to be in. And they will look to improve on that this year, with it looking a bit more likely that Harry Kane could be staying around in Tottenham for the upcoming season. We're going to be giving our thoughts on the next season for Tottenham Hotspurs, if we think Harry Kane will be staying, and how they could fare in this Premier League season. With that being said, I will give it off to Lane to give his initial thoughts.
Well, touching on Harry Kane, it is looking more and more likely that he will stay, like you said. But Manchester City do look like they do have another hole at the number 9 position. And with the likes of Bernardo Silva leaving Manchester City, possibly going in the coming future, and many others talked about leaving from Pep Guardiola in a press conference, it looks like they might be able to free up some money for Harry Kane. But you just never know in the world of football. Right now, Harry Kane is there. So I guess we'll have to talk about him being there. They've also made some very good departures already this summer, getting rid of the likes of Eric Lamela, Juan Foyth, Toby Alderweireld, Danny Rose. You're losing a lot of players there, but you're also losing a lot of experience. So it is a give and a take situation. Gaining 13 million for Alderweireld was a thing I never thought they'd do this summer, which is a fantastic move for them. And they've just done very well in the transfer business, which I never thought I'd say for a Tottenham Hotspur side when they looked like they're going to lose Harry Kane, and now they look like they'll keep Harry Kane. So it's looking like a not so bad summer for a Tottenham Hotspur side.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely looked better than you would have thought. As you mentioned, they did get rid of some players that weren't necessarily core players of the team, got back some money for them, more than you would have expected, especially the like of Alderweireld. And they've brought in some good players as well. Of course, they brought in Brian Gill from Sevilla, who looks to be a good part of the future for them. They've brought in Galini, who could potentially be the keeper of the future for them if he performs well this year. And Romero is also went on a loan deal, who they could have buy for a bit over 40 million at the end of the season if they want to as well. So they've definitely made some good moves in and out, and I think the biggest move of the window for them, if they can hold on to him, is just being able to hold on to Harry Kane, which continues to look more and more likely the further we get into this transfer window. And that in of itself is going to be the biggest victory for Spurs if they can hold on to him, along with the business they've done outside of that this summer. Is going to leave them in a good spot to be a fairly competitive side next season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think from this transfer business they've done, like you said, bringing the likes of Romero, Galini, Brian Gill. I think this is a great new Tottenham project that if they get the right manager, they get the right side, the players going forward, this could become a very good and very interesting project going forward. Some very young, talented players like Gill, Romero, Galini. You still have Roden there. You have Bergwijn. Still have Heung-min Son. Lo Celso and Dombele, Oliver Skip. This is a very exciting team. It could be a very exciting project, but it just depends on the right type of manager and what they got. But going forward this season, it looks like it's going to be very exciting with Harry Kane, Son, Højbjerg. They got a very good team, and if Nuno Espirito Santos can get the right setup and the right system for this team, it could be a very exciting season for Tottenham going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting season for them. I think they have a lot of potential, a lot of good young players that they can start to build around, along as well as their core guys up top still in Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. It's going to be interesting, as you mentioned, how Nuno does play this team, because at first glance, this team doesn't necessarily have the best fit for a back three or a back five, specifically at the center back spot. As you mentioned, they did lose Alderweireld this summer. They, of course, sold Juan Foyth, who was out on loan last year anyways. He is now also gone. And so who they're going to be playing at those center back spots to have a solid back three or back five is going to be probably the biggest concern of mine for this Tottenham team this year. I think in the midfield they're going to be quite good. I think going forward they're going to continue to be one of the best teams in the league, assuming they hold on to Harry Kane. They've now brought in Brian Gill. Bergwijn's going to be another year into Premier League experience. And Son's still going to be there. I think they're going to be very strong going forward. But who they're going to have in that back three at center backs is going to be my concern. Of course, they still have Davinson Sanchez, they still have Eric Dyer, and they've now brought in Christian Romero. And that's a fine back three. I wouldn't say it's an amazing one, but I think it's fine. But it's going to be a change in system for all of them outside of Romero. And so they're going to have to get adjusted to that new system. And then outside of that group, it is quite young, which might be fine, but it is still definitely a question mark I have about the Spurs team this year, as they aren't in a massive European competition, but they are still going to have a lot of games and a lot of travel due to the nature of the teams in this Europa League Conference. And so they are going to have that depth be viable for them at the center back spot this year.
Yeah, obviously they don't have much depth at center back, like you said, and obviously not a lot of quality. It would be a change switching to a back five or a back three. Hopefully, Nuno can go with a back four and learn to adapt into a back four, which his team is more suited for. But if they do go to back three, like you said, Romero did play there all year for Atalanta, and he has played in that with Argentinian side once in a while, but mostly nonstop for Atalanta. Eric Dyer has done that in the 2018 season for England, and a little bit off and on for a Pochettino side. And besides that, the rest of the center backs have not been used to a back three or back five. So I really hope that Nuno switches to a back four and plays Davinson Sanchez alongside Romero. But it'll be very interesting to see what setup and what formation he goes with, because that'll really set the tone for what I think the Spurs side will do this season and how much they will achieve really based on what he sets them up in and the formation they play.
Yeah, certainly. I think their center backs definitely aren't made the best for that back three, back five setup. I think their wing backs personally are fit quite well for it. Of course, that's where Doherty played at Wolves. That was his role. I think he's quite comfortable there, and I think Reguilon could arguably be more comfortable or more effective as a left wing back as well. But they don't have that center back quality or that center back depth to fill that system properly yet. Maybe that's something they work towards. Maybe they have growing pains there this year and they make some more signings next year, and that's what the end goal is, and it's a bit more of a project a year or two down the road here for Nuno. But it'll be interesting to see how they do end up lining that up this season, and it's going to play a big part in what their success could be this season. As far as where I end up penciling them in at the end of this year, when I was making my predictions, keep in mind I did have Harry Kane leaving Tottenham, and so it will change things a bit for me. But I did have them finishing in ninth. I think obviously having Harry Kane is going to have that help them drastically. Obviously, he's one of the best strikers in world football, if not the best striker in world football. And keeping a player of that caliber cannot be understated. I think it's still going to be a growing season for Spurs. They have brought in some new players that are going to have to adjust to the Premier League. They have a new manager that could have a drastic change in system. I think that also has to be accounted for. But I think with Harry Kane and the team, you could see them push into those European spots. But as of my predictions, I have them at ninth.
Yeah, like you said, we each thought Harry Kane would be leaving, and that is where we put Spurs so low down on our tables, and I put them exactly in the same spot in number ninth position. That is obviously with no Harry Kane. If Harry Kane does stay, I could see them putting into eighth, seventh, sixth position, no higher than that. But with a Harry Kane side at Spurs, I do think they would be higher up the table, but ninth place is where I do have them with Harry Kane or without Harry Kane.
Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section about Tottenham Hotspurs this season. What system do you think they will play, and where do you think they will end up in the Premier League table? And let us know if you think if Harry Kane is going to stay in London or if he's going to see his way to Manchester City. With that being said, if you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you want to hear our thoughts on other Premier League season previews, then be sure to click the box on the right-hand side of the screen. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you guys in the next one.